So, watch this video with a critical eye, and I'm sure you'll see what I saw, a problem that needs to be corrected if I'm going to continue on with this experiment in the future. Stick around after the end of this video to see the rest of the story.
So, we're going to do a number of videos spaced out over time as the ideas occur on sort of outside the box things that I tend to experiment with that sometimes go well and sometimes go poorly, and we'll see which is which on the video. Now this I've done a bit as an exercise, so I think it's going to go okay. The idea is this: everybody has seen horses set up with side reins where the reins come back and the horse is tied off like this. You can use draw reins if you choose to draw your horse's head in. There are real problems with that, particularly the side reins that are stationary. And people will ride with them and keep their horse's head set, or they'll lunge their horse and keep their horse's head set. And that does indeed get a horse to where they will set their head, tip their nose, and assume a position that mimics collection. On the other hand, as we all know, collection is more than a head position. Collection involves flexion, but it also involves engagement, and you generate engagement with your legs. So what if I became a set of human side reins? So that's the experiment here, human side reins. Because what happens, we ride around and we want to get our horse's head in position or guide our horse. So we're going to take a hold of them, and we're always moving our hands around. And some people are more prone to do that than others. Some people do it involuntarily. They got a little bounce going on, and pretty quick they're doing this to their horse's mouth. And I have yet to see a horse that likes that. And I'm pulling my punches, or she really wouldn't like it. I would say that I tend to be a little active with my hands. I would say that my hands are controlled, but sometimes they just can't mind their own business. So instead of always using those hands to influence your horse, let's just turn our hands into side reins. And the beauty of it is, those side reins can be adjusted and they can release. That's the big thing. So I'm going to put her in the human side reins. Bring my hands back, put them on the swells of the saddle, and they're locked in. And I'm going to drive her up into those human side reins, see her giving her face, and I give back. Those side reins release. Pick up on the side reins, drive her up into them, then I release. Now suppose we were to activate those side reins and also want to steer. Well, you don't need to use your hands nearly as much as you think to steer. So we keep our head in a pleasing position, use some leg, move her over while maintaining her head position. When she does that nicely like that, we release. Release. Human side reins again. Now pick up with our leg and steer to the left. So we're going around to the left. So you can see that the beauty of this little game is you set your hands, they're stationary. It's just like you had the reins tied off to the swells. Because my hands aren't moving. They're right there. They're moving as much as they need to move to follow the horse. They're not back there somewhere getting left behind, but they're not clenching, they're not flexing, they're not pulling, they're not lowering, they're not getting higher. Now suppose we want to do a transition into a lope. Now this has been a challenge for this mare, so it may be a challenge for her She tends to want to raise her head up when she goes into a lope. So let's just put the human side reins on, give her a second to adjust, cluck to her. Not too bad. And release. Side reins on and release. Side reins on. Then come on, steer for me. Release. Side reins on, steer over. There you go, darling. Now let's do a transition to a trot. We don't want her to drop like a brick, but we do want her to maintain her head position. She offered that on her own. Side reins on. Let's transition down. Pretty nice. Release the side reins. This mare always likes to stall. Trying to correct that every day. You can see she'd like to shut down. So we'll correct that by putting the side reins on. Commencing to lope. Transition to a trot. It's actually better. Transition back up to a lope. And ask her just to do a nice square stop. Not looking for her to slide, not looking for her to bury her backside, which this mare would like to do, but that's part of her stall tactic. So I've actually stood her back up, getting control of that stop that she wants to volunteer, and trying to get it more correct in terms of form. So you can see that at times, taking your hands and just making them a solid end point can be pretty useful. You can walk your horse along, you can steer them in, steer them in, steer them in. So, give that a try. You may find that your horse rebels against it. That's telling you something. Maybe you do it real low key. Maybe you just trot a bit. See if you can get a few strides with the horse soft against those human side reins. Just lock down. Don't crank your horse back too hard. Drive up into it with your legs like this. See, her head's going up. I'm not going to pull on the reins. I'm going to add more leg. See where her head goes. Stop. And she doesn't need to back up. Not being bad, she's just a little unsure. And see if she's raising her head. I'm going to get her to flex. Then I'll release her. So you can do it in a very simple way. You can just pick up a few strides. She was able to do a bit more because we have done this a few times and she's getting somewhat educated. But see, there she goes, going along. If I want to stop her, I just roll my seat. She stops and I release her. So something to think about, something to try. I love getting comments. We've gotten a fair number of late. Like the conversation. Let us know how it worked. Let us know if it didn't work. Let us know if the horse jumped the fence and how high the fence was.
So, do you see the problem? It becomes immediately apparent at about this phase in the video. This horse is consistently or repetitively overflexing, getting behind the vertical. So what's happened is I have set those human side reins too deep. That means that there's just too much constriction on the horse, and she is responding appropriately to a miscue by me. So the thing to do here is to take a lesser hold on the rein, a little more slack in the line, and drive her forward with my legs into that position instead of being as aggressive as I've been here. Basically, full disclosure, true confessions, this was a failure of feel on my part. It happens. Does it create a lasting problem? No, but it would if you sought this feel again and again and again and got your horse to where she was hiding behind the bridle. That can create real problems. It also mimics what we see with some of the performance horse trainers who overflex their horses to capture them more completely. You see it with reiners. You see it with Western pleasure horses. And sadly, you see it frequently in the roll cur position you see with some dressage trainers. So something to be avoided, no harm done, but that's the value of experiments. You watch them back, or you have a good ground person, and they say, well, there may be some merit here, but you got to change the way you're applying that side rein, or you're going to have some problems. So a little bit of self-criticism. It helped me to watch this video and realize what I was doing wrong. Hopefully, it will have the same effect for you.